Welcome back to the 750. I am your RJ Ochoa. He is your 7'5", two-time Super Bowl champion, college football Hall of Famer, the one, the only, likely the one who carved the turkey last week, Tony Casillas. TC, what up?
I'm doing tremendous, RJ. It was a tremendous Thanksgiving. I hope yours was also. I can't take any props for the turkey because I actually ordered this one the second year in a row. It was a smoked turkey, by the way. And
Okay.
I will recommend this to you, brother. If you ever chance, I don't know if you've ever smoked a turkey or ever eaten one, but you'll be hooked on it. So, you know what? I can say that here's what I did. I did buy it where it wasn't deboned, so I could actually carve it where it looked, had the effects of it. But man, I
Yeah.
tell you what, I am still working on it, brother. In fact, it was so good we had to order two of them because we didn't have leftovers last year, so we thought we got to have some leftovers.
Right on. Well, it looked like you had a good time based on your Instagram. I saw there was a Casillas person in the household rocking the 7'5" jersey. Didn't look like it was you, so respect on letting that kind of hang around and pass around through multiple generations.
Yeah, that was my
Um,
son. He came back from school for a week, and he's a big CeeDee Lamb fan. Obviously goes to Oklahoma Jet, and I left it there, so he had to go with the old man, the old 75. Thought he'd kind of change, the whole karma thing, but obviously didn't work. But I saw some pictures that you posted. It looked like you and your family had a great time. I don't know about you, but did you watch the challenge with Phil Mickelson and Charles Barkley and Peyton Manning and Steph Curry? Because man, I thought it was tremendous.
yeah, I did. So that was obviously last Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. The day after a Cowboys game for me is obviously very busy, just, getting stuff up for the side and, for YouTube. By the way, make sure to subscribe to the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel. We've got podcasts, as you know, Tony. Blogging the Boys is never stopping. But so I did have it on while doing a lot of work. I enjoyed it. I will say this was the third edition of the match. Phil Mickelson's obviously been involved in all three, and I could do without the constant like trying to talk about how much you're gambling, because it feels a little forced to me. If those conversations were a little bit more natural, I would be fine with it. Ultimately, it's awesome that they raise so much money for HBCUs and they've raised so much money for charity and things like that, and all these things they've done. I do like the franchise, and I hope it continues. I hope Justin Thomas gets to be a part of it. Obviously, Charles Barkley was a lot of fun. My favorite one to date was the second one that we got with Peyton and Tom Brady a few months ago.
Man, I'm gonna have to disagree. I thought the whole Zen
Oh,
Master.
wow.
Well, first of all, Charles Barkley, I was looking to laugh for 4 hours because
That's
the
a
whole
if that's what you wanted, then I could totally see it.
yeah,
Yeah.
because he and Phil, I don't know how much he forces it, but this whole Zen Master, calm your thoughts and
Sure.
take a deep breath. I mean, it worked. We did not see, Charles had hit some bad shots, but that unorthodox, nervous central
Right.
nervous swing where he hitches and everything, we didn't see that. And I like Phil. He seems to me he's pretty authentic and genuine, and I just like it. I thought that it was a hell of a format, and I will add this also. I did watch the Tyson, Mike Tyson, and the Roy Jones Jr. and the Jake Paul, him
Nate
just killing Nate
Robinson.
Robinson and just kill him in so many ways, social media and everything. I felt so sorry for the dude, but I did watch that also. That was Saturday night. For some reason, my son was able to get the fight. I'm not going to say anything, but we were able to pull it up. But man, that right there, Snoop Dogg. Oh my gosh, I don't know if you were able to. I'm sure you saw some of the things on social media, but Snoop Dogg, man, he nailed it, brother. I mean, it was the unconventional way to broadcast. Pot smoking, just some of the things that he said during. I mean, to me, besides Nate Robinson getting just as I mentioned killed, I thought the Tyson Roy Jones Jr. was
Right.
pretty entertaining, man.
Overall, I agree that both of these things that we're talking about, the match and the fight, were very entertaining. And I will admit, like I said, the day after a Cowboys game, I'm doing a lot. So when I was watching the match, I wanted a different thing. I was in it. That's my bad. I was in a
Yeah,
mood. But they were both really entertaining products, and they were both really great, like Thanksgiving weekend sports.
Right.
Because like Thanksgiving weekend is meant to be like, weirder, and generally, obviously not this year, you've got a lot of family around, and so it's like a fun thing.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
they were fun things that you could kind of gather around and enjoy on social media. So in that respect, I agree. Fun fact, I was at the slam dunk contest in 2006 that Nate Robinson won when he jumped over Spud Webb. So that was really cool.
Well, Nate
But
Robinson had no business being in the ring with
it was
Jake
bad.
Paul. It was horrible. I mean, the guy almost died. But anyway, it was, it was entertaining. As you mentioned, you kind of look, it's kind of the leftovers of Thanksgiving weekend. And I thought it kind of got us through the weekend, especially after a dismal performance by the Cowboys and just the whole week of just the things that happened. It was just, wasn't a good week for the Dallas Cowboy Nation.
Right. So actually, Tony, we were last week at this time that you and I are recording. We were getting ready to record because we record on Tuesdays for the 750. We're the Tuesday show on the feed. And as we were talking, it was reported that the Cowboys, who were on a short week, obviously playing on Thanksgiving, were canceling practice, canceled Mike McCarthy's media availability, canceled the players' media availability because of a non-COVID medical emergency. We would come to learn that Dallas Cowboys strength and conditioning coordinator Marcus Paul had the medical emergency, passed away, a terrible tragedy, the young age of 54. And I mean, well, first, Tony, I know you run in NFL circles,
Mhm.
obviously, and have likely had some conversations. I mean, everything that I've heard, Marcus Paul touched so many people and was an incredible individual, but I know that that's a message that other people have echoed to you as well.
Yeah, I think he's been in the National Football League, had 5 Super Bowl rings, 3 years with the New England Patriots, and 2 years with the Giants. And I think that he had such a great reputation. And you mentioned he's 54 years young. I mean, that's not old, especially when you get in your 50s and tremendous shape. And those things are really hard to overcome emotional, RJ, especially when something like that, especially after coming off a huge, just an
Right.
emotional win versus the Vikings. And the next day, it just really was this horrible news. And I think it's just kind of hard to put it out of your minds. But as professionals, and you know you you're human beings. I don't care what walks of
Right.
life, whatever you do for a living. I think sometimes you get desensitized with athletes not feeling emotion. But yeah, I mean, it's just you spend so much time with the strength and conditioning coach. I mean, there's so many stories about guys saying, well, he was a guy that really motivated me, believed in me. I was in the weight room, and we spent a lot of time together, and really that's your foundation, your core. So besides your offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, your defensive line coach, whatever group that you're affiliated with as on a team, that's the guy you spend the majority of your time with, because he
Mhm.
kind of lays the foundation for your future, especially for younger guys that really just come in the league and try to work on different things. And man, it was just a tragedy to hear the news of him passing away.
To your point, when the Hall of Fame ceremony comes around every year, and we hear the enshrinement speeches from guys, they thank their strength and conditioning coordinators, because you're right. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
those are the people that design your plans and push you and help you kind of become the athlete and the NFL player that you do. And so it was, a lot has happened since you and I last spoke, obviously. And so it's hard to transition into football after talking about that. And I think that was something that we saw from the Cowboys, that they were on a short week as it was. And you're right. The win against Minnesota was so needed.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and, and so to finally kind of get your head above water and get,
Mm-hmm.
last Monday, get this breath of, okay, this season has life, to Tuesday just, I mean, have a tragedy happen like that, and then have to play a game while everybody's individually handling Thanksgiving in socially distanced ways, or maybe not having Thanksgiving, whatever the case may be. A lot to process. And again, I don't want to, use this as something that is part of football, but obviously the Cowboys played a football game. They lost very handily. I think it's very obvious that they had a lot on their minds. I thought, I'm curious for your take on this, Tony. I didn't see a lot of people talk about this, but when Mike McCarthy spoke with the media last Friday, again, we're talking on Tuesday, the first day of December, he said that he did not know how the Cowboys were going to play. And a lot of people kind of at this point, you know how it is. A lot of people, are pissed off and make fun of McCarthy for whatever. I really appreciated that because and I don't mean this in a negative way about Jason Garrett, but that is something we never would have heard from Jason Garrett before. That I thought that was Mike McCarthy just being honest, right? Like saying, look, man, we were dealing with something that just was so horrible. I didn't know what it was going to be like. And I really respect Mike McCarthy for that level of transparency.
Yeah, I think that he kind of felt the same emotion. And I think that trickles down to your football team and just those guys in that room. And I mean, you spend so much time together. That's your family. And, when you lose a family member, then you react to it. Emotionally, it's hard to just not have feelings. And I think so many times people, they expect this expectation to you not to be bulletproof, that you're not supposed to have, those type of feelings because you're
Right.
just macho, you're playing a macho sport. You're not supposed to have emotion. So I think that it was a valid, authentic point that he made because that was probably what he was feeling. I mean, I've been on teams before where I've lost a team member, and it's trust me, it's difficult. But I think you got to use that kind of as a rallying cry, if you will, to try to band together and just really just stick together and just kind of grieve, together and play together. And I don't think it's, I guess you could use it as an emotional excuse why you wouldn't be up. Um, but I think we all know there's a little bit more, not to be insensitive to what happened, but I think there's a lot more underlying things with the Cowboys when it comes to performance
Sure.
that we saw on that day. I think for me, it probably would have worked. It probably is something like that's going to happen, if that makes sense. To get the short week where you don't have to process it and really think about it. And it's like anything when you lose someone that you love in your family, you're busy, you're thinking about other things. And when you sit around and you think about it, then you're like, okay, it's really starting to hurt. It's kind of like the way the Cowboys being able to process it. So, as we saw on Thanksgiving Day, some of the ugly things reared its ugly head that we've seen before. Just got, we'll get into it, but just got outcoached and outplayed. That's pretty simple.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Underneath everything, when you get to the football of it all, the
Yeah, and
Cowboys are not.
RJ, I'm not trying to be insensitive.
No,
I'm really not.
of course.
I've been in that position, and I know that that's what the expectation is. It's like Marcus Paul. It's like what would he want you to do? Would he want you to
Right.
continue just to not go out and play? So I think that's the angle I'm looking at it at.
No, and I think your point, it was well taken by everybody. What I was saying is, just looking at the football, this is not a good football team, which is partly why, in fact, is a majority of the reason why they played badly against Washington. And again, this was a team that got destroyed by Washington the last time they played them. So it was sort of fair to expect that would be the result this time. So we're sitting here Tuesday. The Philadelphia Eagles lost on Monday Night Football. The New York Giants are currently in first place in the NFC East. The Washington football team trails them. The Eagles are in third place. The Eagles, Tony, I don't know that the Eagles win another game this season, but they're broken in a way that is much more concerning than what is happening with the Dallas Cowboys, because at least the Cowboys, you envision getting Dak Prescott back. Hopefully the Cowboys pay him, whatever. I don't want to get into paying Dak in that conversation, but this week, Tony, the NFC East, the Giants every NFC East team's on the road. The Giants are in Seattle. The Washington football team is in Pittsburgh. That game got rescheduled to Monday afternoon because of the constant Ravens-Steelers game reshuffling.
Right.
The Eagles are at Lambeau Field to take on maybe the best team in the NFC in the Packers. And the Cowboys will finally play the Baltimore Ravens next Tuesday. The Cowboys and Ravens were supposed to be the first game of the week, supposed to play on Thursday. Now they're the last game. I don't know that this division gets a single win this week. I mean, right? I mean,
I was just thinking the same thing. I guess Lamar Jackson, will give him time to get back out of COVID protocol, so give him an opportunity to play. So they're going to get him back. And you just mentioned the 3 games that these teams, the other three games that the other 3 teams play in the division. I don't see him win them. So where are we at? We're exactly where we are this week, because there's not going to be anybody really gaining any ground, so to speak. The Eagles, they got their own problems.
Right.
And look, I think that it's just, you can blame it on Carson Wentz, but they got a lot of issues. But I tell you what, after watching that last night, and God, I mean, I'd hate to be in Philly. Maybe they'll give him a little more emotional hall pass. I doubt that. But he was not good. And look, I think Alshon Jefferson. I mean, he had his first catch was yesterday. So my point is that there's a lot of issues in the NFC East, but with Carson Wentz being the highest paid quarterback, the only starting quarterback that hasn't been hurt in the NFC East, that is hard to watch, man.
So I have one question on the Eagles, just from someone that's sort of been there and done that. Not that you ever played with a quarterback that bad, but in that situation, like when somebody is playing really badly and it's really visible and the whole world is talking about it, I mean, you're aware of it, right? In the locker room, like the Eagles players are aware of what is happening. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I mean, like, I know Carson's their guy. Maybe they'll fight for him. They'll go to battle, whatever you want to, however you want to term it. But they are absolutely aware of the fact that he is very bad. And to your point, they have a lot of other problems, but his problemness is what is really, really, really holding them. Like, are those conversations happening in your opinion? I guess is my question.
Well, when you have someone like Jalen Hurts, where you saw last night that they gave him some opportunity to maybe interject him in the game, and I think a lot of the players will support Carson Wentz. But, I mean, there's just so many opportunities in the game where he should have made those throws, and guys are wide open. I don't know what he's thinking. As I mentioned, Alshon Jeffrey is his first catch of the season. And I think this starts to a lot of doubt, starts to trickle in the locker room. But and that would be
Keep going. I don't know what happened there.
I just a picture just popped up. It looked like your high school graduation picture, by the way. I don't know if that's going to show on broadcast, but anyway, kept my concentration. That was pretty funny. You threw that in there, tried to get me off track. But I think that, man, Carson Wentz is bad. I'm trying to make a case for him and give him the benefit of the doubt. And the offensive line doesn't get any protection, but he holds on to the ball so long, and there's no receivers open. I don't know if you have that much time to throw the ball. I mean, you'd think there would be somebody open, but you know what? You know this, RJ. You're going to get the negativity. You're going to get all the abuse from the media and everyone else because the quarterback's going to have to, to be able to take that, and that's kind of comes with the territory. But to answer your point, man, I don't think. I mean, you look at their season, and look, it's a whole narrative in the National Football League you just mentioned. When you have a division where the leading, the team that's is leading the division has 4 wins, and you're sitting there with three wins or 4 wins, and you still have a chance. I mean, I don't know which direction you have, because I think it's just been one of these unorthodox seasons. But yeah, I think a little dissension starts to seep in if he continues to play bad. Can't throw a football to a guy that's wide open.
I agree with you. I think if the Carson Wentz situation was happening for any other team, it might not be as bad. But like the culture of Philadelphia adds it, and he has. I feel for him because he has such a unique story. With obviously how Nick Foles won the Super Bowl and everything, and so like. It's easy like that is a scab, you know what I'm saying, like or a scar, and so it's easy to pick at that scar all the time and say you were never the reason why, and Nick Foles was the first, and what I mean, like again, like it's a really hard psychological thing, I imagine, for him to overcome. And you're right,
he still got paid all the money for not even any resume, just the speculation that he was the dude, the guy.
No, and I don't know. I mean, it's a fascinating situation to watch from afar. And thankfully the Cowboys, again, if you're going to be broken, I know this is maybe I'll be honest, I'm feeling a little bit merry and bright on this Tuesday, morning. Just I don't know if it's December, it's the Christmas spirit. I've been listening to some Christmas music lately.
By the way, I
But
like your Christmas tree on the back. Would that be on your
thank you.
right back? Yeah, that's nice.
If you are watching us on YouTube, my wife said, "Look, you guys are putting all the shows on YouTube. I'm not going to have you not have a Christmas tree in the background." So shout out to my beautiful wife.
Nice, nice.
But so like if your season's going to be bad, you want it to be because everything broke, and everything has broken for the Cowboys. And I mean, like what do you say at this point? I mean, they lost their starting tackles on their first possession last week, and it seems like they're going to be operating without them again. I don't know that I think the Cowboys. In fact, I don't think the Cowboys can beat the Baltimore Ravens. I know. I'm curious, though, to see how competitive they look, because there are going to be 12 days between games for the Cowboys, between the Washington game and the Baltimore game because of the rescheduling. And there's only going to be 5 days between games for the Ravens because they are playing Pittsburgh tomorrow. I don't know that that's a factor. Baltimore hasn't – I mean, Baltimore's still Baltimore, but they haven't looked like last year's version of themselves all year, really. So, I mean, because think about this, Tony, and, like, they have to get to the Baltimore game, okay? But after that, the Cowboys visit Cincinnati next Sunday, which is very winnable.
Mm-hmm.
After that, they host San Francisco, who did look good, to be fair, on Sunday against the Rams. After that, they host the Eagles, who are easily the worst team in the division. And then they visit the Giants. I mean, so I know we keep having the same conversation, but like they could get to 5 wins or even 6, and that might be enough.
And that's the point. The whole that's the common denominator in all this formula is that there's still hope. And all you got to do is, I don't know if you caught lightning in the bottle when they played Minnesota, went on the road and all of a sudden decided that they were just going to have this great game. And I think that I think that they're really doomed because they lose their best player on the team, Zach Martin. And just when you think it could go really bad, Zach Martin gets hurt. And so
I want to
talk about a really bad week. You lose your best player, I think, on the team.
Well, I want to stop you right there because Jerry Jones, who you know well, I mean, like it's a joke at this point. Jerry Jones went on the radio a week and a half ago and said that he thinks that Ezekiel Elliott is the best player on the team. I agree with you 100%. The best player on the team hurt his calf against Washington. It is Zach Martin. It has been Zach Martin for a long time. But that's the thing that is also adding to the weirdness of the season is the weird narratives. And Jerry continued like that has to. I imagine that Zeke appreciates the vote of confidence from Jerry, right? But on the other hand, Jerry saying that only makes the situation worse because now everybody's saying, oh, are you kidding me? Zeke is trash. Zeke is washed. Zeke is whatever. Look at Tony Pollard. And Tony Pollard looked really good against Washington, and Zeke continues to have a really struggle sort of a season.
Yeah, I think that they're just really hesitant to pull that trigger as far as, give Tony Pollard more reps. And I don't – when I heard that comment, I'm like, Jerry, well, you're just trying to give him a vote of confidence and pacify your star running back that you paid all the money, and not only that that's not true, right? And because he's not playing like that. He's got 6 fumbles in the National Football League. That leads all running backs. He can't hold on to the football. He's not the player that he was last year or the year before. And why you're trying to
lie.
Lie, just build his confidence. I feel give him more respect if he just kind of, called guys out a little bit. I mean, look, at this point, you have to look, he needs to hold on to the ball. I mean, there's a huge turnover in that game. And I just don't understand that. Zach Martin, to me, you can see a huge difference when he's involved in the game on an offensive line. And now you take him off, take him out of the lineup, and now you have another. You're shuffling the offensive line to try to fill that void. You're not going to ever do that. And now you're asking for the guy that you said is the best player in the team, RJ, to do more. Has he done more? No.
I mean, I I just that's where I think I don't think I speak for every Cowboys fan, but I think a lot of people are going to empathize with what I'm about to say. I can handle the losing. It sucks, but I can handle it, right? And my brain can say, okay, look, Dak Prescott got hurt, Tyron Smith got hurt, Lyle Collins got hurt, Zach Martin got hurt, like on and on and on and on. This season has been broken basically from the jump. I can process that. What is annoying as a fan is this, like, this, like, being fed medicine, like my dog, right? Like whenever, like, we have to feed medicine to my dog and we, like, hide it in peanut butter and he eats around it. You know what I mean? Like he's like too smart that he just eats the peanut butter and he leaves the medicine there. And it's kind of like, it is funny, but like that, like, we're not dumb. You know what I mean? Like you can't tell us Zeke's the best, Jalen's awesome. Like you can't tell us those things, and that makes the losing more frustrating.
I'm
It's one
laughing
thing.
because that's what I'm going through with my dog right now. I'm having to give him medicine for allergies every day and have to wrap it up in a piece of chicken.
Yeah. Like,
Sometimes he
and
just eats around the chicken, eats a chicken and eats around what I'm giving it to him to take care of his allergies. I think it's,
right. And like, and that's how football fans are. Like
yeah.
we live in a day and age where football fans are smarter than ever. And so you can't lie to them and tell them, Zeke is the best player. Like, and Jalen gets lumped in this a lot. And Jalen, I think has played better as of late. However, again, Jalen is a much faster human being than I am. So not trying to be the guy that's like, I could do this. But man alive, that was the slowest interception return I have ever seen in my life. And it was the difference. I mean, and I'm not blaming Jalen for that. Like, you shouldn't, if you get an interception, you're not expected to return to the house. The fact that he got a turnover is impressive enough. But that's on the Cowboys. They got the ball at the 4-yard line and couldn't score a touchdown.
Yeah. And the hustle play, what was the receiver that ran him down? I mean, that was a tremendous play on
Right.
his part. That was a TK Metcalf play. And I don't have a problem with that. I think it was a great, hey, props to Jalen, got an interception. Guy threw it right to him and ran it back. But
Sure.
you can't get any points, cash in on any points when you get the ball at the 4-yard line.
The problem though there is Kellen Moore, and a lot of people don't want to say that, but you get the ball at the 4-yard line. Your first play, what do? You run it up the middle with Zeke because that's who you are, right? So that's annoying. Your second play, you're trying to get way too cute and do this CeeDee Lamb fun trick play, whatever. Pour it and you lose, yardage, and then you
Right.
I'm not trying to be like Andy Dalton's the best player on the team, but right now Andy Dalton's one of the best players on the team. Andy Dalton has played really well since returning from the concussion and from COVID. And you gave Andy Dalton one shot from the 10-yard line to score. That's it. You know who should throw the football? The quarterback. That's who should throw the football.
Yeah.
And so, and to that point, I love CeeDee Lamb. I'm with Jet. I mean, CeeDee's awesome, but CeeDee's got to catch that. And we all talk about CeeDee as this like alpha already. He's got, respect on the awesome catch in Minnesota, but you've got to make that catch. And I know that CeeDee knows that, and it's just unfortunate. But the Cowboys have outsmarted themselves. And again, maybe they were operating in a phase, in a fog this past week. We all understand why. But like the fake punt, they're trying to do way too much, and it ends up kind of costing them in a lot of ways. They were in that game when they tried that fake punt. There was no reason for that at that moment.
Yeah, I thought that was a really poor call. Jim Fassel, I don't know that what he was trying to accomplish at that point, and how he got into Mike McCarthy's ear and talked him into going forward. You're right. At that point in the game, you're in the game. It's you don't need to do that. You got a lot of time left, and then you're going to try to. It was poorly executed, and you got to give props to Washington. They were ready for it. I mean the expectation of them, them to the trickery and everything, and that just goes back to. It just shows Ron Rivera. Ron Rivera is a good coach. And I think that's what the Ron Rivera you're seeing right now in that team. And then, I thought this early on, and I thought that COVID and everything, but I'm not even for sure that Mike McCarthy is able to come back. I'm not for sure that there's some decision making whether they're bringing back, and maybe that's a little far fetched. Maybe I'm just that's not realistic. But after those type of calls that you're making in the game, RJ, And, you get cute and you're trying to, he'll come back, but I'm not so sure because some of the plays that he's calling is so questionable, the timing of these plays. And yeah, if they work, they're fine. But that call right there, and you're right to, CeeDee Lamb, I mean, he was a hero last weekend. But when you
Right.
got the ball, you got to make those plays. But certainly there was a 2 or 3 questionable calls in that game that I thought were just really foolish on their part.
So, people are gonna have the Mike McCarthy conversation. You're right. I mean, anytime you disappoint, that's natural. Um, I agree with you. I don't think there's any. I think it's really easy to understand. It's really easy to give Mike McCarthy a mulligan, right? Like you're playing golf with somebody and they hit a bad tee shot, but somebody like screamed in their backswing. It's like, hey, dude, just put another one on the tee. Like that wasn't your fault, whatever.
Yeah.
And so like somebody has been screaming in all of Mike McCarthy's backswings. Now, I do think that we are starting to see the Jerry tour of, I don't want to call them excuses, but Jerry's already laying the groundwork. He's a smart guy. You know that better than anybody. And
Yeah.
so actually today, we're talking on Tuesday. This morning, Jerry went on 105 through the Fan, and he was asked if in his mind, any Cowboys coach has ever dealt with as much, call it adversity, as Mike McCarthy has in their first year with the team. He said, yes. Do you know who he said?
Mm, Jason Garrett.
He said Jimmy Johnson. He said Jimmy Johnson in 1989 Cowboys, everybody knows, only won a single game. Obviously a lot going on that year. Rookie quarterback, some dude that just wound up in the Hall of Fame, no big deal. But so my point here is I'm not necessarily agreeing with Jerry, but Jerry's laying the groundwork, right? Yeah, Jimmy had the same problems. You know what I mean? And look how that turned out. Give McCarthy time. Like that's what Jerry wants people to say. Jerry wants people all over the world to be talking to their friends. They're doing their Cyber Monday shopping or whatever, being like, man, should we fire Mike McCarthy? And then the other person be like, nah, man, think about it. Jimmy had the same sort of crap going on his rookie year or his first year with the Cowboys. And look what happened. There was a dynasty. Tony Casillas was there. It was awesome. Like that's what Jerry wants to happen here.
I got to disagree about that. 1989. That's when they did the Herschel Walker trade, and a lot of things happened. But the groundwork hasn't been made. They didn't have the players at the expectations that they had this year. Yeah, there's some adversity. I think COVID-19, and so you mentioned the tragedy.
All the injuries.
Yeah, I understand that. But that's, to me, that's comparing apples to oranges.
Agreed.
Because it really didn't, come to fruition until 1991 when they actually went to the playoffs. So it took a couple of years before you even got to there. There was no expectations in 1989 or 1990 that they had this year. And look,
Right.
we stripped it down because of what happened, but so you're going to say that the next following year, you're going to have to probably retool your offensive line. You're going to have to go out there. I mean, I don't know what you do with Tyron Smith. Leo Collins will be coming back, but there's going to be some decisions to be made. You may not even have Zeke, okay? And so there'll be some players that will probably not be part of that. I don't know, but to make that comparison, I just don't. Yeah, you're right. He's trying to sell you a sack of goods right now.
He's putting lipstick on a pig. That's all he's doing. And, I mean, and the pig is this season, right? This season has been broken.
That's when he said that. I'm like, that's at least the comparison I would thought.
Right, like
Jimmy Johnson.
I mean, again, I'm telling you, Jerry wants the conversation between two dudes, not in a bar because it's 2020, but two dudes on playing Call of Duty, chatting over PS5, if you can get one. He wants the conversation to be like, man, we got to move on from McCarthy. And then for the other guy to say, no way, dude. It's just like Jimmy. Give it time. But that's what he wants the conversation to be. And so, I mean,
look at Washington, what they have to work with. And yeah, granted, their win-loss record is not good. But think about what they have to work with and what the Cowboys have to work with. Yeah, I mean, I think Alex Smith, he's a guy, he's been out of football for 2 years. But I think Ron Rivera has been kind of the glue that's kind of changed that whole, course. I mean, they're not obviously, knocking down the door to the National Football League, but they're competitive. They got more competitive. And I just, I don't know. I think you can use, you can give them a mulligan and use it, give them excuses, but I think there's been some decision making that hasn't been on right on. And to me, that's the issue with some of these things that how you lose a game.
So the difference to me between like let's just say the Cowboys and Washington is
Hmm.
because think about it. Washington's won 4 games. 2 of them are against the team that we've spent the last 15 minutes trashing, right? So I mean, like they're not a good team. That their other 2 wins are against Philadelphia, who we also trashed, and the
Yeah.
Cincinnati Bengals when Joe Burrow got hurt. So again, not a great team. However, Washington has the best asset that any team in the NFC East has right now. Nobody has a good quarterback. Nobody has a good offense, but Washington has a defensive line that can ruin your day.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
and that's what's carrying them right now. And that's why they are, I think, the favorites to win this whole thing. And that's the problem with the Cowboys is that they don't what is elite on the Cowboys right now?
Yeah.
DeMarcus Lawrence is elite. That's it. But he can't be one man elite the entire game. It's just not possible.
Yeah. There's
And
not a
so,
phase that's complimenting or even helping or,
right.
everything is compromising what is good. And they're not even good on that phase. And that's defense, which is supposed to be one of their stronger points on their team.
No, I mean, it's like the Cowboys, I think we all think have an elite receiver group, right? Certainly. But the problem with that is a lot goes into that, right? Like there's a lot of time between the snap and the ball winding up in Amari Cooper's hands. And the problem with the Cowboys is that process is broken. And it's broken because of the elite thing that Washington has, because their elite thing disrupts that whole process.
Yeah.
And
It's a
so
great, it's a counter. It counters that attack.
it's but it is what it is. Look, Tony, we actually are going to be the pregame show next week because the Cowboys play on a Tuesday for the first time ever. So you can save your thoughts on the Baltimore Ravens between now and then. We'll talk about it next Tuesday. My last question for you before we get out of here today: who wins the NFC East? If you have to put all your money on one team right now, I've said for a few weeks it's Washington. I know New York's in first. That ain't gonna last.
I like Washington. I think that, as you mentioned, their defense is really good, gives them an opportunity. I think Alex Smith, I think he's got I think he's efficient enough that he can, orchestrate an offense and is a smart guy. And I think that their coach, I think Ron Rivera, he's been, I mean, you talk about just adversity and things that someone's
Right.
been through. Look at his, had to battle cancer and then comes back. And I think he's done a tremendous job. I mean, defensive coordinator, I think Jack Del Rio is a tremendous play caller. I don't believe that Daniel Jones. I mean, his hamstring. I don't know if he's going to be available next couple of weeks. I've not heard about that. You got Colt McCoy, which wow, it's kind of hard to even think that he's still in the National Football League. But yeah, I think that the Eagles are done. Giants. I don't know if they can last. I like the Redskins. I think that they could probably. What's the magic number? 5,
6.
6 wins.
It is 6. That's the
Yeah,
magic
yeah,
number.
6 wins. I mean, to win the NFC East. Yeah, I think that they got more a legit shot at that. So I'm going to agree with you on that one. I'll take the Washington Football Club.
Well, that about does it. It's been
But
quite the
12,
week.
12 days, 2 week Thanksgiving vacation for the Cowboys, man, that's a long time.
But and this is my last thought on this. And again, I've never been in this situation, in the NFL and everything. I know, shocker. But Mike McCarthy also said in his Friday press conference after the Washington game, at the time, the game still hadn't even been rescheduled at all. It was still set for the following Thursday. But, obviously it was kind of trending in that direction. He said, look, I don't know what's going to happen, but if it is rescheduled, I think that we could use that time to kind of I don't think there's any question that the Cowboys need some time just to breathe. Because last week was so horrible and it all happened in such a compressed way. So I think that a few days off before return to practice can certainly serve the Cowboys well. Mike McCarthy talked a lot about mental health as well. And so I think that, hopefully the Cowboys are banding together and kind of getting through this with each other. You mentioned it being a family, but it will be very interesting to watch them play on a Tuesday.
Yeah, and again, I think, and look, I'm not putting emphasis on how important that is. I just think that now you have a lot of time to prepare and process and
Sure.
do what you need to do. But still, there's an expectation when you come back, you should be sharp and ready to go. So the worst thing that could happen is you come back and like, okay, well, they look out of sync. They look like they've taken 2 weeks off because that's the business aspect of this. That's the flip side of this. Okay. And look, I understand that you have to process and, whatever the tragedy, what happened and everything that's gone on with the last couple of weeks. But now it's time to really just get back to it. And really, if it can help guys get back on the field, which I don't think it's going to help Zach Martin. I don't know how long if he's out indefinitely. I haven't seen any reports on that. But if it's going to put their minds in a better place and be refreshed and make a run at maybe getting 6 wins, yeah, I'm all about that.
It will
At least they
be.
don't have the Denver Bronco problem with the quarterbacks. How about that train wreck? That was ridiculous.
If Jimmy had come to you, Tony, and said, "Hey TC, I need you to play quarterback on Sunday," would you have done it?
Yeah, I did if Reed would have renegotiated my contract.
Have you ever played quarterback at any point, even in high school? Like, do you have a snap at quarterback, anything like that?
You know what? My life is the glorious position. Skill player was when I was a Pop Warner when I weighed 105 pounds. Those days are over. So to answer your question, I think it was the 5th grade.
Okay. Well,
but
hey.
I still have a fantasy now. If I play Xbox or I still have this fantasy of being a quarterback, and
Sure.
that's in my dreams and fantasy.
Well, maybe one day. Tony, it was great to catch up. We'll be back next Tuesday ahead of the Cowboys-Ravens game. Everybody have yourselves a great week. We will see you next time. This was the 750.